Hey there, I am Magica, and at the end of our last video, I was wondering if we should design a Pokemon professor or the Route 1 bug for a region. And I've decided to show you guys one more Pokemon before I start to design other kinds of characters. So, in this one, we will see what the Route 1 bug evolutionary line looks like. I guess to start, I should explain what a Route 1 bug is. Many of you might already know, but there's a lot of people that don't know what these terms mean. To be precise, this term is used to talk about any early stage bug-type Pokemon we might encounter, like your Caterpies and your Weedles, and all of the others like that. Usually, they are a 3-stage evolutionary line, although there are some exceptions to that rule. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the Pokemon we'll be creating today. I have always liked the idea of a fire ant Pokemon, and I am always surprised when I think that we have more than 1,000 Pokemon, and none of them is a fire ant. It just seems so obvious to me. So I decided to make my own fire ant evolutionary line, and a Pokemon from this line was actually the first one that I've ever designed. It is in this little guide though. For this whole line, I wanted to portray the accurate life cycle of an ant. So this first stage had to be a larvae Pokemon. I'm not gonna lie, this was a bit difficult for me since I dislike any kind of insects that look like that. I think they are kinda disgusting. So how could I make it cute? I sketched for a long time for this one, but I figured it out that the way to make it look cuter would it be to make it super round and with a big head. And after a bit of research, I found out that ants hatch out of eggs. So it gave me the idea of making this little Pokemon be covered by the eggshell, and that would give it the larvae look that I was looking for. But I also managed to make it look like it was wearing the shell, like a hoodie. And I think that, plus the big eyes, made for a pretty cute design, which was what I was looking for. At the end of the day, I do think it's a solid design for a first stage Pokemon, but it's still not my favorite from this line. Heaton, the larvae Pokemon. This Pokemon stays in its cocoon for most of its life. The cocoon keeps Heaton safe and warm until it's ready to protect itself without it. Every Heaton has its own time to leave its cocoon and evolve. Now, this was the first ever Pokemon I designed for this region, so I didn't want to change much of it, but it was designed a couple of years ago. When I was first designing it, I was trying to take inspiration from Forant, but I do see that I did not manage to get much from that Pokemon in this final design. On the other hand, I do see that I set a few characteristics for the next few Pokemon that I would design for this line, like the big eyes, the antennae, and the ant's lower body, which I think is the most preeminent feature, and it just looks like a big lava lamp, so it fit perfectly with the fire type that I was going for. And at first I wanted to make it look like lava, but it would end up looking too much like a rock fire type Pokemon instead of bug fire. So I tried to go for a more amber looking texture, and I liked so much how it looked that I decided to make the evolutions of Forant also have the Ember theme. Usually the middle stage of Route 1 bugs are the cocoon Pokemon of the line, but I think it is interesting to subvert these rules and expectations by creating some Pokemon. And Forant looks like a goofy ant, which is perfect for a middle stage that will evolve early into your journey. Another little thing that I added for this Pokemon is the difference between the male and the female of the species. I always thought that it was so fun to look for those minor details on the Pokemon, like male and female combi, or the fact that the female Pikachu have a heart for its tail. And I think that is a shame that they did this less and less with every generation. But this is one of my personal takes. What do you guys think? Forant, the Heat Ant Pokemon. Now this Pokemon can protect itself using strong fire type moves. It creates and stores heat inside its body. As they are part of a colony, this Pokemon can be seen hunting for food to bring it back to the nest to feed the growing Heatoon. I think I spent a long time on this next one. When I first designed Healant, I had a completely different idea for both the female and male evolution. When researching about the ant's life cycle, I found out that only male ants have wings, and of course the queen ant also has them. So I had one female and wingless form and a male and winged form, but they'd still be the same Pokemon, like a Nidoran male and female situation. But now, when I sat down and started to redesign this Pokemon, I decided to make only that the male Forant would evolve into a Healant. I took inspiration from the Burmy line on this. And when I got to designing this one, I knew right from the start that I wanted to give it a more menacing look. While I think the more goofy look is okay for Forant, because it's a middle stage evolution, for the final evolution, I wanted it to look like it could take care of itself. So, I drew inspiration from Durant and other final stage bug type Pokemon to be able to give the look that I wanted. Another thing that I tried to do was to draw even more attention to their lower body, make the amber looking part a bit bigger, and then I decided to make their amber wings grow out of it. Now, I'm not so sure if that part was well translated into the drawing, but I still like how it looks. And just to give a bit more color variety for this last evolution, I tried to use a dark purple to contrast with the reds and orange that this whole evolutionary line has. Overall, I think I managed to improve on this design a lot. Healant, the fire ant Pokemon. Only a male Forant can evolve into a Healant. Swarms of Healant will pursue and chase off any intruders that come near their colony or their queen with ferocious and fiery bites. Because most Forant hunt for food, Healant will always protect the newborn Heaton. So remember when I said that there's rules and expectations when you're creating a Pokemon and how it's interesting to subvert them? Well, just let's say that this whole line is about that fact. I can only think of one other Route 1 bug Pokemon that has a split evolution, and it is Wurmple. And honestly, besides Wurmple, there's only other 14 species that have a split evolution. So I thought that having one more split evolution line would be interesting, especially in the early game. For this final evolution, I took a lot of inspiration from Vespiquen. I always liked this design and I thought, why not have a queen Pokemon that can rival it? And taking that same thought, I tried to redesign Monant. When I designed it for the first time, I tried to make it look too much like its previous evolution and too much like Vespiquen. This time around, I tried to make it stand apart from all of that. There are still things that I liked from the original design, like the huge amber dress that she has on her lower body. I wanted to show that she was so powerful that her whole lower body gets enveloped by the strong amber resin that she uses to protect her nest. Another thing that I tried to keep from the original was the crown made out of the same amber resin. And I do remember having trouble with her pose in the first design. But now I think I managed to have a nice and queenly pose, and I think that a big part of that was making her wings longer and placing them like a huge cape that she has, and that adds to her dress and to her silhouette. I always liked unique forms of evolution, like leveling up next to a specific stone inside of a forest or flipping your 3DS upside down. So, I had an idea for how this Pokemon can evolve. I thought it would be interesting if this Pokemon could only evolve if it was a female Forant and it would level up while you had any other Pokemon of its evolutionary line in your party. I think that would play well with the fact that ant colonies only have one queen. But what are your thoughts in this evolution method? Monant, the ant queen Pokemon. Each colony has only one Monant, which commands all her subjects. Like its subjects, the queen can produce a hot amber-colored substance from its lower end. This substance is very sturdy and difficult to break when it hardens. Old stories says that firestones originated from this Pokemon's wings. And this is our Route 1 bug. I think I did manage to make some interesting designs for this line, especially the last evolutions. And as I said, I like split evolution Pokemon and unique evolution methods, but let me know what you think of them. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any new fakemon videos. See you in the next one!